Why do you stop when the world says no? Why do you silence your dreams because someone else can't hear them? Why do you forget that every rejection isn't your ending, it's your beginning? Tonight, as you breathe a little slower, drift with me into a story carved from pain, persistence, and impossible belief. A story of a man whose voice was mocked, whose face was rejected, whose scripts were thrown away. Yet, he never stopped believing. His name is Sylvester Stallone. Before the fame, before Rocky, before the flashing lights and standing ovations, there was only darkness. There was hunger. There was silence. And there were hundreds of locked doors. But inside that darkness burned something small, stubborn, and sacred, a spark that refused to die. So, as you lie in bed and the world outside grows quiet, ask yourself, what if every no you've heard was never meant to stop you, but to shape you? What if you could write your own yes? This is the story of a man who did exactly that. Sylvester Stallone entered this world already fighting. During his birth, a medical accident damaged a nerve on his face, leaving part of his lip, tongue, and chin paralyzed. His speech became slurred, his smile uneven, and the world, cruel as it can be, never let him forget it. Children laughed. Teachers shook their heads. Even adults whispered, "He'll never make it." But little Sly had a secret. He dreamed. He'd sit for hours in dark movie theaters, eyes wide, memorizing every emotion on the screen. While others mocked his voice, he imagined speaking to millions. He didn't want perfection. He wanted purpose. Each insult became a spark. Each "you can't" became another reason to try. And though his body carried a visible scar, his heart began to believe that maybe scars aren't signs of weakness. Maybe they're proof we survived. The city never sleeps, and neither did Stallone. He walked through New York streets clutching a handful of scripts, knocking on every studio door. Most doors never opened. Those that did quickly closed. You'll never be a leading man. Your face, your voice, wrong for Hollywood. Days bled into nights. Money ran out. Rent notices stacked up like verdicts. He sold his wife's jewelry to buy food. Then, when there was nothing left, he did the unthinkable. He sold his dog. His best friend, his companion through every sleepless night. $40. That was the price of survival. Imagine watching the only soul who never judged you walk away, leash in another man's hand. That night, Stallone sat alone under a streetlight, eyes full of tears, but his heart whispered, "Not yet." He went home, lit a candle, and began to write. Because when no one would give him a role, he created his own. Sometimes, hunger feeds more than the body. It feeds the soul. One night, exhausted and hopeless, Stallone turned on the TV. A boxing match flickered on screen. A small, unknown fighter getting beaten to the ground again and again, yet refusing to stay down. That fighter lost the match, but won Stallone's heart. He grabbed a pencil, a notebook, and for 3 straight days wrote without sleep. When the words finally stopped, he looked down at his script, a story of a man no one believed in, who gets one chance to prove the world wrong. He called it Rocky. It wasn't fiction. It was his reflection. He took the script to every studio in town. All said no, until one offered $125,000 if he agreed not to play the lead. He had nothing. He was starving, but he said no, because selling the story without living it would mean selling his soul. He walked away broke, but free, and destiny took notice. Eventually, a small studio said yes, on one condition: a tiny budget, and Stallone would earn almost nothing. He agreed instantly. His first act? He went back to the liquor store where he'd sold his dog. For 3 days he waited. When the man finally appeared, he begged him to buy his friend back. The man refused. He offered $500, then $1,000. Still no. Finally, he offered $15,000 and a part in the movie. He agreed. That dog, Butkus, became Rocky's companion on screen. When you see that scene of a man running through the streets with his dog beside him, remember, that wasn't acting. That was homecoming. Sometimes our dreams demand everything we have, but if you hold on long enough, they give you back what you thought you lost. Rocky was shot in 28 days with almost no money, borrowed equipment, and pure faith. Every scene was real. Every bruise, every stumble, every breath of exhaustion, truth carved into film. When it released in 1976, the world felt something rare: authenticity. Audiences cried. Strangers cheered. Because Rocky wasn't just a boxer. He was every person who refused to stay down. The film won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. And the man who had once slept in bus stations now stood beneath golden lights, holding the very statue of belief. When reporters asked him how he felt, he said, "It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward." That line became a heartbeat for millions, a reminder that life's punches are inevitable, but surrender is optional. Time passed. Fame faded. Critics returned. But Stallone had already won the only fight that mattered. He had proven that a no from the world doesn't define you. Your response does. He kept creating, failing, learning, rising, because his story was never about perfection. It was about persistence. He showed the world that you don't wait for permission to live your purpose. You write it. His life became a living script for every dreamer stuck in the dark, whispering, "Maybe it's too late." It's never too late. If you can still breathe, still hurt, still hope, then you can still fight. So tonight, remember Stallone's truth. The world might tell you no 1,000 times, but it only takes one yes, and it can come from you. The night grows still. Your heartbeat slows. Ask yourself, what's your Rocky story? What dream waits quietly beneath your fears? Maybe people doubted you. Maybe you doubted yourself. But remember, the road to your yes begins the moment you stop chasing approval. Every rejection, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, they're not walls. They're weights building your strength. So tonight, breathe deeper. Feel the calm in your chest and whisper to yourself, "I'm still in the fight." Because the world needs your story. Someone out there is waiting to find hope in your rise. Just like Stallone, You can turn the pain that broke you into the power that builds you. So sleep peacefully, dream boldly, and remember, when everyone tells you no, you can always write your own yes.